The microphone is on, the camera is on, and now the front door is open. In the past year, Amazon has normalized a lot of previously private behavior by releasing a spate of products intended to reduce consumer costs and increase convenience. The Echo and the Fire brought the company into your life, and the new Amazon Key will literally let the company into your home. For Tech Republic and ZDNet, I'm Dan Patterson with ZDNet Editor-in-Chief and Tech Republic Editorial Director Larry Dignan, and Tech Republic's Managing Editor Bill Detweiler, to explain Amazon's audacious new service, the Amazon Key. Larry, from a business perspective, this does a lot. It obviously extends the company's footprint and maybe even their footprint into the logistics business as well. But what is Amazon Key, and will it work?
I'm kind of curious to see if it works. I think there's a mental hurdle for people, but basically the key is it's basically a door lock that hooks up to an Amazon security camera, and then there's an app, and basically they can schedule deliveries, so the delivery person can open the door, drop off a package, close the door, lock it, and split, and you get to confirm. Now, anyone who's ordered a smartphone or had to get something they had to sign for knows what a pain in the butt the delivery thing is, right? I mean, if you're not there, you're downstairs, you don't hear the doorknob, it gets rescheduled, it's a hassle, right? So from a service perspective, this is kind of brilliant, right? Because Amazon can do this well. What's a little fuzzy though, like if you watch the video and all that, it's an Amazon delivery person. I don't know how this is going to connect with UPS and FedEx and whoever else has to deliver, or does the Sunday U.S. postal person gets this? I'm not quite sure how that works in practice. But it's very interesting. And it's one of those things where you go, all right, I'm letting you in my house. This could be a privacy thing. Something could go wrong. And then you look at it and you go, but damn, it's convenient. And it's the same trade-off we make for a bunch of things, right? We share our location with Google. Google gives us directions we didn't even know we needed. That's good, right? So it comes down to, this is your privacy, your data, your actual home, and you do that trade-off. And, the other thing that Amazon has going on from a business perspective, it's for Prime members, right? So you're a member of Prime. You buy this kit up front, it's like $250 or so. Once, you might have to buy a new lock depending on how it all goes. But so, for $300, you get this thing that's makes life easier. And naturally you'll buy more stuff, get more stuff shipped, and it just kind of goes from there. So it's great for Amazon. The consumer, I think it can be great. I just think there's a mental hurdle here, but we've seen this before, right? I mean, oh my God, Alexa's listening. And people freaked out about that for about 10 minutes. And then they go, oh, and this is like for all technologies, right? Oh, well, my phone knows my location. And then we got over that. You can even go back to Easy Pass. People were freaking about that when it came out. So it's pretty, I think it's a pretty good idea. And strategically, this just means Amazon's everywhere in your life, whether it's a dash button, Alexa, how you buy stuff, like the smart home. I mean, it's kind of fascinating. So I think this is just, one more thing in the plan to carpet bomb your house with Amazon devices that are all plugged into Alexa. It's pretty damn interesting.
So Bill, reading from one of the comments posted by user Jet Metal Sam, he said, if I know there's the slightest chance I won't be at home, I choose an Amazon locker. Again, another example of what Larry just said about Amazon is kind of ubiquitous. I can think of nothing dumber than allowing access to your home through a network that can be hacked. So this does raise a number of privacy concerns, liability concerns as well. Where do you come down in terms of the intrusiveness of this?
Larry had it right. It is a hurdle that Amazon's going to have to overcome, and a mental hurdle for customers to overcome to allow someone into their home, into their private space. And for me, that's a really high hurdle. Personally, I don't have cameras in my home. I don't like cameras in my home. And people could say, well, I have a camera on my smartphone. I do. but it's tightly controlled. I have a camera connected to my gaming console, but when that is not in use, it's unplugged, it's disconnected, and it's in a drawer. So I'm maybe a little more privacy conscious than most of Amazon's Prime members, or maybe many of Amazon's Prime members. But I think this is a really high hurdle for them to cross. And so it will be interesting to see whether enough Prime members buy into this. So like Larry said, the system works how the delivery driver doesn't actually get a key code that they can then use for the lock. When you select the option to have the package delivered, Amazon monitors the time that it's supposed to be delivered. And then the driver, when they show up at the house, can unlock the door during a specific time that they're supposed to be there, and that driver is delivering your package according to Amazon. They use the app on their phone, and Amazon has a demonstration of this and set up some demos in New York, I think, to show this off to some media, where the driver unlocks the door and then is actually instructed not to enter the home, but instead just to sort of slide the package right inside the door and then close the door and lock it again with the app as they leave. Now, to me, this raises beyond the privacy implications. There's also the security implications. There's a lot of what ifs here. So, for example, what if the driver forgets to lock the door? What if the door that the system is hacked and the door can be unlocked automatically? What happens if you have a pet? Does the dog get out? Is Amazon liable for that? What happens if you have a cat and you didn't put it up that day? What happens if you're home and a driver shows up? What happens if someone's hiding around the bushes and runs in the house behind the driver? I mean, and like Larry mentioned,
you really thought of this one, haven't you?
So Larry,
what if I get hit by a meteor? What if a dinosaur attacks me when I'm walking down the street? I mean, it's crazy.
I mean, and all these what ifs, right? All the what ifs are really, that's what the camera's there for. I mean, the camera is there to give you, because Amazon doesn't need a camera to provide this service, right? The camera serves two purposes. It serves to comfort the user and to say, hey, look, we're going to let you see what happened. You'll be able to watch it in real time. You'll be able to get a clip of it afterwards, but then and see what the person actually did. But don't forget, it's also a liability issue for Amazon for you to give them access to your house. What happens if you come home and you say, oh, my TV is gone. My PlayStation's gone. My computer just walked out the door and I had an Amazon delivery and I'm going to blame Amazon for it. Now I'm going to file a police report against Amazon or the driver. And Amazon is going to have to turn over the video clip to the police department. And they're going to have to look and they're going to say, no, it's not our driver. Our driver just slid the package in, closed the door and left. So it's as much of a protection to Amazon and their liability interests to someone else. I mean, when someone
it's also a safety blanket, right?
Yep.
By offering a security camera, you'll probably put one in your driveway, whatever, it's like every other security camera you might have. So,
Yep.
So that kind of couches it a bit. So we might see something where you buy the security camera and maybe you don't do the smart lock thing just yet. Right? So we might see a couple stages here to see how it works. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of moving parts. And, the funny part about technology adoption, sometimes it's not the technology or the consumer, it's the liability, right? I mean, autonomous
so
cars,
I get
the biggest thing, right? Autonomous cars, like who's liable? Is it going to be Ford's algorithm? Me? When I'm just in the back seat? Like all that stuff has to be worked out. So yeah, you're right. The liability stuff, that's a few loose ends there for sure.
Larry,
there are already services that do this, right? So people have maids, people have dog walkers, people have house sitters, people may have, service people, repair people that can come into your house now. Most of the time, most of the people that I know that use those services are usually home during that, when that occurs. And there's two people that I know who maybe aren't. One is if you have a service provider that has been with you for a very long time, and you're comfortable with that person being in your private space. Or the other one is, like I said, if you are if you aren't necessarily concerned, either you live your life in the public space and you're accustomed to having people around you all the time, assistants or other types of service providers, or you're financially secure enough, for lack of a better term, to not necessarily care that much about whether your stuff goes missing. Me not being in either of those situations, it's kind of, maybe I'm a little more sensitive to someone walking out with my brand new TV or a new computer, or maybe I'm just a little old school in that I'm not necessarily so sure about random strangers having access to my house.
I think that's the other thread in this is the services angle, right? Because if you look at a fine print, it says, yeah, you can get a dog walker, you can get this, you can get that through Amazon services, and they're hooking up with rover.com, a bunch of other things. So that's interesting too. Like, the other way to look at this is the delivery thing is just kind of like a foot in the door, literally, but it's also about expanding those home services. And if you have this hooked up, it's kind of a precursor for something bigger. So that's the other move. That's the other wrinkle here too, strategically, to think about.
Where and how do Amazon's competitors respond? Will we see similar products from Google or Walmart or even Dick's Sporting Goods? Or is this something that the competitive market will kind of wait and see how Amazon does?
I don't know if the competitors could wait around too long. I mean, my guess is they feel so scorched by Alexa and Echo, where they were kind of like, it's just a stupid speaker. Well, suddenly it's a little smarter, right? So now they're all coming out with their speakers, but they're all like 2 years late. As far as the delivery goes, I mean, the only one I could see competing with this is probably Walmart. Like, they're the only ones with the footprint, the logistics, and all that. Like, I can't see how a retailer, like, you're not going to let Macy's go into your house because you probably don't order enough, right? That's Amazon's trick, right? This is for Prime users, which they have enough usage to make it make sense. So I think it's interesting. And if you're Google right now, you're like, damn, why didn't we connect Nest with the other stuff, right? Because they're not really connected.
Walmart's trialing, just like you said, Larry, Walmart's already, going to announce a trial for a grocery delivery service out in Silicon Valley. So, right. And that scares me even more, and with Amazon's, purchase of Whole Foods, they could very easily deliver Whole Foods, not just to your front door, but put it right in your refrigerator for you.
If you're traveling, that could be kind of cool. Maybe they can clean it out while they're there. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of interesting. It's interesting, and it's going to be fascinating to see how it develops. But I think if you're Google, you're sort of like, well, we don't really deliver stuff, so that's an issue. I mean, they've had their pilots, but it's one of their science projects they do. So yeah, I don't necessarily see. I mean, this week I did a story on Comcast and their digital transformation, and they're kind of that platform security camera and all this. And this takes Amazon much more into that space. So we'll see how it works. But it's fascinating from a business perspective, much more than a technology one. And
all right.
Technology is also interesting.
I have a couple more questions, especially about logistics, but I think we can answer those in future videos. And I want to ask you guys one more question, especially about the future. Same question, Larry Dignan, Bill Detweiler, for you both. In a year from now, will we be sitting there and saying, stupid move by Amazon, can you believe that? Like the Fire phone, or will we, like Larry just said, be looking at how Amazon once again scorched the competition and was early on a trend nobody saw coming?
I think this has a much better chance of working out than not. And if it doesn't, they'll collect enough data to where it'll be useful some future stuff, right? If you look at what they did with the Fire phone, there were some goofy things there, but they learned enough about it in terms of computer vision, stuff like that can show up elsewhere. So, yeah, I would probably put the odds of this being a success probably 80%.
Bill.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with Larry. I mean, I do think that there are enough customers. You know, there's about 85 million or so estimates vary around the number of Prime subscribers that they have. So I think they will get enough in the 37 markets I think that they're launching into to make this work. And if it doesn't, even if it doesn't get broad appeal, like I'm not going to use this service, but maybe I am confident that there are enough people out there who are not like me, who are much more comfortable with this type of offering, who will subscribe, that at the very least, it'll be a successful business model. And like Larry said, even if, they don't make money off of this, they still get a ton of data and it still increases their footprint into your home.